So yeah, today, New York Times broke another story on the UFO incident. Pentagon's UFO program, the UFO Task Force. I don't know if any of y'all have read that, but Eric Davis, physicist, PhD physicist, who has been in special access programs, sworn under NDAs, and has worked with the government for a long fucking time, has come out and said what he can say about the subject, tell people that he's briefed Congress. The AATIP briefing slides are online, and if you want to check them out, we can check them out sometime, and we can look at them together. But basically, the Pentagon says that they have crash retrieval materials. Now, they don't know, they're not saying that, hey, we got alien spaceships, but they're saying we have material from unidentified flying objects. Now, if that ain't big fucking news, I don't know what is. Now, if that can't make us all look at each other as humans, as one race of people, because that's what we are, I don't know what can, man. 2020 has been wild, man. Fucking July, they just admitted the Pentagon had fucking UFOs, guys, and no one's fucking batting their eyes about it. No one seems to want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. I don't know about you guys, but I want to talk about it. I'd love to talk about it. But that ain't what we're doing today. This ain't just Chatting Friday. We're playing some DayZ on PC, I guess. I kind of just wanted to say my piece and end stream, but I think I need the distraction. I think I need the distraction, guys. I have not had a good day. It's been a bad day. I've been up late last night watching the Portland protests, watching federal agents gas people on the streets of Portland, them using private military contractors to violate the rights of American citizens, all in a desperate attempt to stir civil war in our country so Trump doesn't have a re-election, he can have a takeover, so that he can avoid prison time. Also been reading today about Maxine, who I believe is Trump's fucking child pimp, talking about releasing the files that they have collected. Now, if that motherfucker wasn't working for intelligence communities, multi-international intelligence communities, I don't know who was. But that'll all be interesting. I wonder what comes out of that. He wishes her well. That's usually what a mob boss says to someone who can snitch on him in fucking prison. We should be talking about that. We should talk about how ICE uses their facilities to sex traffic thousands of young girls every day, young boys and girls every day. Should be talking about that shit. Come on. Just launch DayZ. Otherwise, I'm probably just gonna fucking end this shit. 1 minute. 16 seconds. What? Why is it counting up? I wish I could read that New York Times article, but I'm not signing up for a free New York Times. I'll just read what other people have to say about it, I guess. What is going on with this? I just wanted to play some DayZ, man. Can I just say that Elon Musk is a douchebag? Can we all agree that Elon Musk is a big fucking douchebag? He had a post today that says Rose Twitter sucks. That's hilarious. That's ironic. I bet no one on Rose Twitter even has a guillotine. Ooh. I think Elon Musk's asking to get his head chopped off. I don't think he likes his head very much. It's safely around his neck, but I think it could be off pretty quick. Jeez Louise. This fucking world, I tell you what. It's on its brink. You're all just holding on to threads and don't even realize it. You're going to work every single day, punching in. You wake up, take a shower, and you don't even realize it. The apocalypse is a slow burn, baby. And it's been burning for a few years. None of y'all been paying attention. Apparently DayZ needed to update. I forgot that they're updated from the DayZ experimental. I haven't launched it since they updated the game. So yeah, UAP task force. That's pretty interesting. Pentagon's been investigating military claims of UFOs. Navy just redefined their guidelines for reporting. I just wonder when the Air Force is going to get in on this. Because you know they got some shit out there. Probably somewhere in a hangar at Wright-Patterson or something. The feds have a long history of snatching people up. Only now they're targeting middle-class white people. And now it's news. Yeah, so we could talk about how police in Chicago have made people disappear to black sites. That was revealed in the Obama administration. Can I also just say fuck Obama too for getting rid of our Miranda rights? And fuck Bush for signing in the Patriot Act to allow all of this to happen. That motherfucker's a war criminal. That motherfucker sucks. Liberals love fucking cozying up to fucking Bush now that we have Trump. He makes him look like a saint, but really, yeah, they're all the fucking same. Every single one of them. Since Kennedy, it's all been the fucking same. Kennedy tried to get into the UFO files. Tried to abolish the CIA. He tried to nationalize our currency, and he got put on an open carriage on the 33-degree parallel. Brains blown all over his wife's lap. It's kind of funny how that happens, huh? People in control hate to lose control. Reality, no one's in control. We're floating on a fucking rock hurling through space. The quicker we wake up to that, the quicker we'll be better off. "10 minutes. Jeez Louise. Well, fuck. I guess we could scroll through Twitter. Oh, here's his full analysis on the New York Times crash retrievals. New York Times crash retrievals may exist. That's right. May exist. There is material. There have been material analyzed by private companies, by private aerospace companies that have shown strange isotopic ratios not made on Earth. So yeah, Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Keane, they've been at this for a little while, a couple of years now. After weeks of build-up, rising tensions in the unusual thrust and parry in the UFO echo chamber, UFO Twitter, that's pretty much what I'm a part of here. The New York Times finally published its latest article trying to normalize a subject and I would say destigmatize a subject that the paper, politicians, and the public have been in denial about for over 7 decades. Y'all have been ignoring this for 7 fucking decades? Dude, there have been UFOs for thousands of years. Expectations were high, widely rumored. Game-changing reports. Yeah, everyone thought it was going to be huge news, man. They were going to come out and say that we got the UFOs in the hangars. But instead, we didn't get that. No. It's full of bombshells, but they buried the lead because it's too wild. The editor removed 1,000 words out of the article before it was published. What do you think was in those 1,000 words? What do you think they got told? So, flaws and all, the article is going down in history as a turning point in this very important discussion we're about to all have with each other. UFOs are real, guys. If these things are real, then who are they and what do they want? That's the real fucking question. Who are they and what do they want? Who are they? Who fucking knows? Could be us from the future going back in time. Could be that we all live in a simulation and these are just the admins of the simulation. It could be that these are aliens who evolved on another planet hundreds of light years away and are just intergalactic botanists who came here to pick flowers. Who knows? What do they want? You know, there have been reports for a long time about the abduction phenomenon, about humans all over the face of the earth, not just here in America, but all over, reporting the same things. Missing time, sightings of aircraft, time aboard, you know, big gray aliens, who knows? What do they want? Semen, ova, DNA? You know, what do they want? Who knows? Fuck. Ain't nobody know. In the article of the New York Times, a so-called newspaper record for the U.S. quotes former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. He's the one that kind of got AATIP started, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. He wanted it to have special access clearance, but was denied special access clearance because once he had it, he'd be in the know and he would have a need to know and he would learn about the other programs that exist within private industry and deep within the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense. But boy, the DOE makes the DOD look like a glass room, guys. You ain't never going to get anything out of the DOE. So in plain English, the bottom line of the testimony is UFOs have likely crashed. We've picked some of the scraps and maybe some saucers. Probably started studying them before hula hoops were cool. And both big government and big business are in on whatever it is. And they probably still have no idea how to fucking fly the things. Can you imagine having a UFO and not having the key? Not being able to fly it, not being able to utilize it as a technology, trying forever to back engineer it through, you know, black projects so compartmentalized that progress cannot even begin to be made. The frustration that these people must have trying to protect a nation from something that you cannot protect it from. These things fly within our airspace with impunity. They fly over nuclear missile silos and turn the missiles on and off, play with them like toys. And we can't do a damn thing. We can't catch them. You know, so there are rumors that we can attack them. You know, there are space-based technologies. There are laser-directed energy weapons that might be able to attack these objects. There have been rumored that some of them have been shot down. But, you know, who knows? We don't know. I don't know. You don't know. They ain't telling us. But yeah, that must suck. It must suck to have a sports car and not have the keys up here. So Blumenthal and Keene deserve a lot of credit. That's true. They've been at it for a long time. A tough sentence by sentence slog to the first draft of what we have here before us. It feels deeply impacted by some say yes and some say no. We say maybe. Form of balance that is that journalism likes. Yeah. This is not to say that the article is bad. It just reads more like more than a few people got their hands on it. Yeah, that's true. And this is understandable given that it is a hot potato potential. It is literally the largest story ever broken by any journalist in the world. The existence of UFOs is the largest fucking story in the world. If it can prove that we're not alone on this planet, it would completely rewrite the way humans think about themselves, think about the world. So despite Pentagon's statements that it's disbanded a once covert program to investigate UFOs, it was in fact renamed and tucked inside the Office of Naval Intelligence, which has handled most of the UFO topic since the 1940s. And the DoD has been giving classified briefings to congressional committees, which they should, considering our tax dollars have funded these covert programs since the fucking 40s, since Project Blue Book. And even then, we didn't get the true story of what happened at Project Blue Book, and Hynek came out later and said that. So what else has this guy got? For more than a decade, the Pentagon program has been conducting classified briefings for congressional committees, aerospace companies, Lockheed Martin, probably not Boeing as much, but definitely Lockheed Martin, considering they're the ones who developed the direct energy weapons necessary to combat these objects and radar systems to detect them. Executives and other government officials, according to the interview program within the program participants. So, who is this? I can barely read that. Yeah, you ask me this every time you come in here. Jay Mooney. We're talking about UFOs right now. Mr. Elizondo is among... So, yeah, what I was going to say before I read Jim Mooney's name and remembered him. I ask everyone, well, is it because you think no one remembers you? So program participants, they're talking about AATIP at this point. They're talking about the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. These program participants are more than likely Eric Davis and Dr. Hale Puthoff. Both have worked in special access programs. This particular program for quite a while. And Mr. Luis Elizondo, who is said to have been the director of AATIP and was a good friend of General Mad Dog Mathis. So Mr. Elizondo is a small group of former government officials and scientists with security clearances who, without presenting physical proof, which they will through their ATOM program with To the Stars Academy's ATOM Advanced Materials program that they're working on, analyzing materials from people who have crash retrieval materials, say they are convinced that objects of undetermined origin have crashed on Earth with materials retrieved for study. So the reason why they can say this is because they already have materials in their possession that they themselves have taken to independent analysts and had analyzed. So I'm sure somewhere in Austin, Texas, at Hal Puthoff's little shop, they have locked cases full of metallurgic items of unknown isotopic composition. Weird metal from space is what I'm trying to say. Weird metal from space. Mr. Reed, the former Democratic senator from Nevada who pushed for funding the earlier UFO program, so he pushed for funding for AWAS and AATIP. He got Bob Bigelow $22 million to go to a ranch and study Bigfoot and portals and ghosts and spiritual stuff, and then also got a bunch of people to write up DIRDs with Defense Intelligence Research documents to support their claims, and we could find those and read what, like, let's see, AATIP slides. Whoops. I wonder if we can find them here. Blah, blah, blah. I want to see the slides. DIRD. Let's see. Let's see if I can find his. The Mind Sublime. Where is his? There it is. So yeah, defense intelligence research documents. Does he have these on here? There we go. Technical reports. So when he's talking about the funding of the earlier UFO program, when he was majority leader, he's talking about funding these research papers. So these are the offers, these are the affiliations. Internal electrostatic confinement fusion, pulse power-based weaponry, space-time modifications for spaceflight applications. So that's literally talking about space-time metric engineering. So taking space-time as it is a fluid fabric and moving it and shaping it for spaceflight applications. Novel MEMS-based biosensors. So that's implants. They're talking about implants. One of the stories about UFOs is you get implants, and there have been doctors who have removed implants from people who have been reported to be abducted and studied them. Theory and experiments of invisibility cloaking, metamaterials basically that bend light around objects, wormholes in space-time, which, yeah, that was Davis. So Earth Tech is Hal Puthoff's company. Eric Davis is the PhD author who works for Dr. Hal Puthoff, or has worked in the past, and also worked, in this capacity, wrote technical reports for the government and AATIP. Gravity wave communications, which would be really cool because we could have long distance communication. Superconductors in gravity research, anti-gravity for aerospace applications. Now this one is the one that I am the most interested in. This is Dr. Christopher Green from Wayne State University. Field effects on biological tissues. So field effects from the craft, how they affect biological tissues, how they affect humans. Positron aerospace propulsion, fancy propulsion systems, vacuum energy applications. So that's again Eric Davis. Vacuum energy fluctuations. Basically at a subatomic level, everything fluctuates in and out of the quanta. Everything is moving. Empty space is not empty. It's full of virtual particles popping in and out of existence. It's a foam of energy that we don't really understand yet, but if we could utilize it, if we could utilize vacuum point energy, 0 point energy, we could have energy systems that could power the world's energy 7 times over with a centimeter of empty space. So that's pretty interesting. Improved statistical approach to the Drake equation, basically trying to figure out how many aliens are out there, because the Drake equation needed to be revamped when exoplanets and exomoons in the Goldilocks zone were discovered. Maverick versus corporate research cultures. Oh man, that's interesting. So what's better, government or corporate research cultures when it comes to studying UFOs? Biosensors and biomems, again, implant stuff. Metamaterials for aerospace applications. So metamaterials is a very broad nomenclature for objects that are specifically designed, materials that are specifically designed for specific purposes. A lot of these metamaterials need to be created in microgravity in order to operate correctly. So having an industry in space is the next big objective for any space-based aerospace applications when it comes to metamaterials. Warp drives, Star Trek shit. Controlling devices without limb-operated interfaces. So that's the fly-by-wire, putting on a hat that reads your brain waves, and then, you can control a plane with your mind, is basically what that's talking about. Materials for advanced aerospace platforms, metallurgic glasses. Again, these kind of have relation to each other. Programmable Matter by Will McCarthy. Programmable Matter is a decent book. It's a little outdated now, but it has a lot to do with the human analog of programmable matter, which is like the QLEDs, the quantum electron traps, where we can literally create matter, which is kind of crazy. We can program matter to do specific things. And his sci-fi books, so on top of being a research technical report author, he also wrote some sci-fi books about wellstone, which is a quantum well idea, where it's a sci-fi idea about what would happen if humans had programmable matter, true programmable matter. And it's a very interesting book. His character development kind of sucks. His characters and his character development in the story kind of sucks, but his ideas about what would happen when humans were presented with programmable matter is pretty interesting. Metallurgic spintronics, high energy laser weapons. Ooh, that's really cool. Privy consoles. That's pretty cool. Quantum entanglement communications. So you could have faster than light communications over vast distances. You could entangle photons in a quasi-crystal, and then what happens to one would happen to the other. And basically you could have upspin, downspin, on, off, 1, 0. And then at that point you can send messages by using quantum entanglement or quantum properties, which is pretty interesting. If we could get that to work, you basically have completely encrypted communications faster than the speed of light across relative distances, which would come in handy for deep space probes. It would be pretty cool to get down. Space access, where, been, and where to go. So space access is talking about like where we've been in space, where we've sent probes, where we've sent satellites, and where to go next. That's just theorizing, 40 years into the future, what can we do with space? Where should we go? I think we should be going to the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. I think we should be going into deep space. But in order to do that, we need to have outposts on the moon so that we can get to Mars, outposts on Mars so we can get to deep space. So we gotta hop along, because we're still using conventional rockets to operate craft. But if we were to apply some of the technical reports, like the space-time modifications, or some of the other ones, anti-gravity for aerospace applications, if we were to have access to these kind of technologies, it would basically open up our exploration infinitely. We would be able to cruise along these galactic lines of magnetism and traverse the galaxy, and these relativistic distances wouldn't seem so far anymore if we could literally just fold space-time and punch a wormhole through and just go from point A to point B instantaneously by using benign wormholes or spintropics or whatever the hell they want to call it. Advanced nuclear propulsion for deep space. Now that's more something that we could do before we engineer space-time. Before we have the energy necessary to engineer space-time around a craft, we're probably going to build advanced nuclear propulsion for deep space. So these That's what they spent $22 million on, was getting a bunch of nerds to write up a bunch of nerd shit so that Congress could believe that it was possible for these things to be real. I guess. I don't know. It seems like a waste of fucking money to me, but hey, you know, I guess Bob Bigelow knew what he was doing because everyone's talking about it now. He said on 60 Minutes, you don't give a shit what people think, that UFOs are here and that they exist. That was pretty interesting. This is AATIP slide 9. This is a slide that everyone's been talking about for a long time. The Dod Threat Scenario. This is the sub-focus areas for AATIP. The science exists for an enemy of the United States to manipulate both physical and cognitive environments. It's your brain. Be able to influence decision making, your cognitive environments. It can make you see or hear things. You know, it's a very crazy thing. In order to penetrate U.S. facilities, influence decision makers, and compromise national securities. So they're talking about the subsections of focus, where psychotronic weapons, the cognitive human interface, how UFOs interface with human cognition, how they interface with our minds, how they influence our decision making. The penetration of solid surfaces, that's pretty freaky. They could just walk through walls, come into your bedroom at night, float you out, and take you onto the ship. Instantaneous sensor disassembly. So there have been rumors, particularly through the Canadian Defense Minister, about craft that got too close, like aircraft that got too close to UFOs, and how some of them just kind of fell apart. They just disassembled. But I guess somewhere someone had reports about sensor disassembly. Alteration, manipulation of biological organisms, anomalies in space-time construct, unique cognitive human interface experiences. So the DoD advantage would be that the DoD has been involved with similar experiments in the past, which means the DoD has been involved with experiments that pertain to all of these sub-focus areas, which is kind of terrifying. The DoD has relationship with renowned subject matter experts, so the DoD has people that know all about this shit, and the DoD controls several facilities where activities have been detected. What was considered phenomenon is now quantum physics. Yes, sir. How's our DayZ? Is it ready to go? It is ready to go. I want to go through the rest of this, and then we'll play some DayZ. After looking into this, I've come to the conclusion that there were reports, some were substantiated, some not so substantive, that were actual materials that the government and the private sector, aerospace companies, had in their possession, Mr. Reed said in an interview. So that's a Democratic senator from Nevada, not just some Yahoo talking about UFOs, you know. He's a Democratic senator talking about... Did you just come back into my stream and then ask me the same thing? Who the fuck are you? I don't remember you. No, who are you? What are you doing here? If you're not here to learn about UFOs and watch me kill zombies, you're in the wrong place, son. Note, this quote has been pulled a day later. It remains here because it was obviously the intent of the journalist to put it there in the first place. I figured you were joking. I was also joking. I just want you to know that. So yeah, you can read the full article. No longer in the shadows. The Pentagon UFO unit will make some of its findings public. Oh, look at that, Joe. Look at a UFO. Ooh. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Crash saucers are being reported in the New York Times. Oh my. That's pretty interesting. Oh. Give us the aliens. UFO sightings across Canada have spiked during the pandemic. Everyone's home, everyone's bored, they're outside looking up. All right, guys, I think it's time. Enough about AATIP and UFOs and, you know, space-time metric engineering or enough talking about how the fact that if you get close to near field exposure to an identified aerial craft at 500 meters, you get brain bleeding and die because the field has non-ionized radiation and can accelerate particles through your fucking body and kill you. So guys, if you ever see a UFO close to the ground or flying above the ground near to you, run like crazy because they'll kill you. So yeah, enough of that. If you want to know more, this guy's blog, The Mind Sublime, he's written by Twitter user J09784691. Is pretty good. He's one of the people who found these slides on Christopher Mellons Blog, whether they were leaked or whether they were hacked and put on the blog in the open is up to debate, but I was the first person to find these slides and read them and research them. He was the first to publish them. I don't talk to anyone about anyone. I don't talk to anyone about anything. What I find about UFOs, I keep to my fucking self, typically, because it's just casting pearls to swine, you know. Swine will eat the pearls, but it doesn't do them no good. They just break their teeth on the pearls and cut their insides and die. You shouldn't feed swine pearls. But some people like to feed swine pearls, and if you are a swine and you're looking to eat some pearls, this is the place to go. The Mind Sublime. He's got a really decent YouTube where he uses his sexy British voice to talk about things that he's interested in, like consciousness and the immaterial and non-objective thing, which is, that's a mouthful. And what else has he got? The computer simulation theory. He's got one on the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. He's got one on experiencers and unique intuition. He's got one on the extraterrestrial nature of UFOs. And he's got one on extrasensory perception and the caudate nucleus, which is a portion in the brain, which is an antenna for ideas, which there's another dimension where all ideas are kept, and we get access to that through the quantum nature of our brain structure. It's pretty interesting. You should check them out. I highly suggest it. Boom. Let's play some DayZ.